Hi, so my name is Kira, and this is my presentation for number two based off of a journal article. And the title of my article I chose was The Distinct Role of Body Image Aspects in Predicting Eating Disorder Onset in Adolescents After 1 Year. Here is my introduction and hypothesis I found within the article. The introduction is in this study, researchers such as Katrina, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, and some of her colleagues wanted to know what about body image predicts eating disorders in adolescents. In order to answer her question, she tested a group of adolescents, both male and female, for an eating disorder. She then introduced them to the Everybody study, and then after 1 year, she examined the same group of adolescents for any ED symptoms. And then the hypothesis, which is actually directly from the article, quotes recent research suggests specific body image aspects, namely weight slash shape dissatisfaction, over evaluation of weight and shape preoccupation, and a fear of weight gain, have distinct roles in eating disorders, onset, and maintenance. The aim of the study was to investigate unique associations between these body image aspects and ED onset, distress, and quality of life in a community sample of adolescents prospectively after 1 year. Experimental variables. The independent variables from this study is the Everybody study, the which includes body image, talk about weight, shape, dissatisfaction, uh, over evaluation of weight, shape, um, and then weight, shape, preoccupation, and fear of gaining weight. So those things are what is changing to these adolescents. So now they're being aware of these things, and which kind of makes them focus on them. Well, and that's what they're testing for, anyways. And then based off of those things, the dependent variables are the number of eating disorder symptoms in the adolescents. As well as if they qualify for having an eating disorder. So they retake the same survey a year later, and that's what they're examining, is seeing if there's a increase in eating disorder, like symptoms or just eating disorders in general from that survey. So the study method she used was hold on, let me move my thing. Okay. So the study method she decided to use was wave one was conducted in 2017, which is the first wave of the survey. And then wave two was done a year later. And in order to make sure this was a, um, like, I guess, allowed experiment, parents and students were informed about the study purpose, as well as parents provided passive informed consent, which means they could drop out their child at any point of this experiment, which could be a factor in the results. It could be negative, positive. All participants were also given a chance, almost like an incentive, to win one of the 10 $100 gift cards, as well as schools were provided with a report summarizing their students' responses on the survey. So it was technically public. Um, as well as participants provided demographic information such as age, sex, gender, grade in school, country of birth, and postcodes, as well as their height, weight, and BMI at the beginning of their survey. Here is basically wave one and wave two. This kind of shows what exactly had effects on certain things. And as you can see here, there's what we've been talking about: preoccupation, dissatisfaction, fear, and over evaluation. And then some results from this experiment was over evaluation and dissatisfaction showed the strongest intercorrelation at both waves one and two. So it was dissatisfaction was one of those things, as well as over evaluation, that kind of were intercorrelated. Um, all correlations were positive and statistically significant, meaning there was a statistically different um, finding, which means basically there is a connection between overevaluation, dissatisfaction, fear and gaining weight, all those things. There is a direct correlation between that and the onset of eating disorders. So if children, adolescents, whoever, even adults tend to focus on those things and be aware of those things, they are more likely to have an eating disorder or not even know they have one. As well as adolescents, both boys and girls who were more dissatisfied with weight shape were more likely to develop eating disorder symptoms after 1 year than those who were less dissatisfied with their weight and shape. So, those on the survey who reported being unhappy with the way they look or the way they're shaped, in both boys and girls, that a year later they were found to have more eating disorder like symptoms and or habits. And then all the body images concerns contributed to yeah, contributed to eating disorders in adolescents, but to help prevent them there needs to be a solution for body image and dissatisfaction. So in order to start preventing adolescents from getting eating disorders so young, there needs to be something that prevents children, adolescents from being dissatisfied. So that's kind of where the ideas of body positivity comes in play, or restricting social media, stuff like that, in order to help decrease dissatisfaction in adolescents. So some discussion points from the study is, in this study it was found that each body image aspect was independently associated with a greater likelihood of developing any eating disorder symptoms in cross-sectional models, which basically means each body image aspect, so whether that was fear of weight gain or dissatisfaction with their body image or any of those were all directly independent, meaning they don't rely on one, like body image, like unhappy body image, so dissatisfaction doesn't rely on fear of weight gain. And then those two things affect an adolescent into having an eating disorder. It's both of those things independently. So an adolescent could have a fear of weight gain and still have an eating disorder, or they could not have a fear of weight gain but have a dissatisfaction in their body image and have an eating disorder. While only dissatisfaction was independently associated with ED onset after 1 year. So, what this is saying is dissatisfaction about your body as an adolescent um, pretty much is the only one that is directly reported to have an onset of an eating disorder 1 year later. So it kind of was the quickest. So when children, adolescents report dissatisfaction, it's almost indefinite for them to have an eating disorder 1 year later or have habits of it. They don't have to have a full blown one, but any symptoms and stuff like that. Also, dissatisfaction was associated with lower physical quality of life and fear of weight gain. So, dissatisfaction also had this report of a lower physically quality of life, meaning they're not as active, they don't want to work out, as well as a fear of weight gain. So, when a child or adolescent is unhappy with the way they look, they tend to fear weight gain, which leads to not eating or obsessively working out. But in this case, there's a lower physical quality of life. Um, this also leads to greater distress and lower psychosocial quality of life. So, because these adolescents are preoccupied with the dissatisfaction of their body and the fear of weight gain, they tend to have a lower physical quality of, um, a lower psychosocial life, meaning they're not really outgoing. They tend to keep to themselves, introverted, as well as distress just within their life. So, very negative things, as well as girls reported higher levels of eating disorder symptomology, body image disturbance, distress, and lower quality of life than boys did, which I mean, I personally predicted that before reading this article because as a girl myself, I feel like that is eating disorders and body image is something that is always in the back of every girl's mind, whether it's a positive one or a negative one. What we see on social